Alright, live. What's going on, guys? Sparrow here, and yeah, today we are going to be reacting live again to Scribbler's adaptation, or whatever, special for Halloween. Blueblood's Pets. I think I kind of already know what this is about because it's quoted Blueblood's Pets. I think I know what these pets are. Now, the last reaction I did was Lost, because, and I have since then, you know, kind of really thought hard about what that one was, what that ending was supposed to mean. I think I got it, but man, I messaged Lost even and asked her, but she hasn't answered me back yet, so we'll see. So on to this. What's this gonna be about? Considering just looking at the thumbnail, I'm really hoping he's not doing what I think he's doing. So I have no idea if this is even safe for work, honestly. What am I talking about? It's R-rated, basically. But oh, and hi, cutie Evie, by the way. So I'm guessing Blueblood is like secretly like holding mirrors in like a basement or something like that. Maybe some BDSM crap going on. He's intentionally beating them, torturing them for certain reasons, for pleasure. Maybe he's a masochist. I don't know. This is going to be very probably disturbing. So if you are probably heavily offended by this kind of stuff, then I suggest you you leave, because yeah, this isn't happy stuff. So I'm just hoping it doesn't leave me confused in the end, where I have to pause, go back again, pause, go back again. Because I don't want to do that to you guys again. Also recognize the art style. Urban, I don't know how to say her name, her real name. Urban School, Ghoul, whatever. Anyways, enough of that. Let's just get into this. I don't know what to expect. I'm expecting a lot of messed up shit because it's grimdark, I believe. Anyways, let's do this. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm gonna turn that up just a tad. I should have done this the same day I did Lost, but I didn't feel like it. Plus 2 live streams one day, that's not really my thing. Hopefully you can hear that okay. Should be able to. Blueblood's Pets. Jesus. Okay, that's Octavia.
Octavia woke to the sound of water dripping in the distance. She struggled upright and looked around the room.
Is that Thornquill?
It was small and empty. The only things in it were
the musty
cot she had woken up on, a candle in the center, and a rusted suit
Wait
of
a
armor
minute.
in the corner. She walked to the door and jiggled the knob.
What's going on? Is anybody there?
That's Scribbler.
Octavia felt the
She loves
rusted
voicing
metal
Octavia.
hinges
She
beneath
told
her
me
hoof.
that's probably
She
her
turned
favorite to
around,
voice.
closed her eyes, and balanced herself on her forelegs to buck
Probably
at
the
door.
easiest.
Her forelegs were
This just reminded me a
pulled out
lot
from under
of
her. She yelled as she fell on her
Split.
stomach.
When there's a girl,
She
when the
looked up.
girls wake up in the room and
armor
they're,
looked down on
you know,
her.
on cots and all that stuff.
What?
It continued to stare blankly at her, helmet
I better
tipped
shut
in her
up.
direction.
Who's in there?
The armor pointed to the cot. Octavia crawled towards it and climbed back onto the thin sheet.
Okay.
Hello? I'm Octavia.
The armor put down its raised hoof.
What's your name?
The armor did not move.
She's talking to armor already. Oh
Octavia
boy.
began to sob. She heard the armor's hooves clinking and watched it return to the corner where she had first seen it.
Why are you keeping me in here?
The pony in the armor did not speak. She was not sure how long it was until she heard the rattle of a key in the door.
Okay.
A tall stallion with a
Yep,
slick back
there's
mane
Jackass.
and instantly recognizable face entered with a cello
Who's gonna be
in
voicing
hoof.
him?
He placed it on the floor in front of her. He looked looked up at her.
Play.
Oh, Prince Blueblood. Did you bring me here?
Play.
Where am I?
Oh, you
With an
son of a
almost
bitch.
effortless grace, Blueblood smacked her across the mouth. She fell back against the cot.
Play.
No. Tell me what's going on.
I can't tell who that
How did
is
I get here?
yet.
Blueblood
Give me
did
a second.
not answer. He just walked back to the door, looked over his shoulder at her, and shut it behind him. She could hear the
Very
rattling
many
of the lock.
Split references going on here.
After his hoofsteps had faded away, she skulked to the door and put her ear against it.
Exactly what happens in
She
Split.
looked back. The armor was above her again. She backed away and sat on the cot.
Is that her company
she
or
looked down
something?
at the candle. It had become a short nub. The wax dripped onto the floor. It burned out, and the armor clanked back over to its corner. She softly cried in the dark.
What is going on here?
Good
She
question.
had been at home. She had gone to bed.
We all know
tired
that
from
the Blueblood's a
performing that
douchebag,
evening.
but
Vinyl had stayed downstairs
I don't know that he's
for
this
some
much of a
reason.
douchebag.
Octavia's head ached from a lump on
First
the
of all,
back of it.
hitting a woman,
testament to how
that's
she had arrived here
very
with no memory
rude.
of travel.
Urg.
She closed her eyes, and the ache faded
Very
along with
against the
the
law,
world.
technically. Okay, how angry am I gonna get in this? Oh boy.
Her own growling stomach woke her sometime later. She could not tell how much time
Looking
had
at this
passed.
artwork.
Hey,
She looked in the general direction of
Like
the
how many
armor's corner.
how many artists am I gonna
The pony
recognize in
inside
this?
it
Like
did not
how many are
move a
gonna be
muscle. The Royal
ones that were
Guards had
also in
competition
Lost
for impersonal staidness.
special?
what's your name?
There was only silence.
My name's Octavia. But I guess I already said that.
She waited a few
You did.
minutes.
Aren't you uncomfortable in that suit?
Another few minutes.
Sorry, I gotta turn it up again.
Yeah.
Nothing.
There we go. I can't hear.
The door opened. Blueblood entered with a
Oh,
candle and
boy.
a sandwich. He placed both on the floor and gestured to the cello he had left behind last time.
Play.
No.
Still
Octavia
can't tell who
backed
that
against
is.
the wall beside the cot.
Play. Or you will be punished.
Octavia swallowed.
No.
Wordlessly, Blueblood picked the sandwich and the candle up again. He left and locked the door behind him. Octavia crept to the door and pressed
Again,
her eye
really
against the
reminding me
keyhole.
of Split, because this is
She
kind of
heard
how
a
the
clank.
movie goes.
Before she could react, something grabbed her tail and threw her across the room to land in the cot.
Also, I'm aware this is the fic that she was screaming for, because I saw her post on Twitter.
It
She was
clanked
screaming
back
so
over to
much
the
as
corner.
Octavia
Why
that
don't you say
I think she pulled a
anything?
muscle in her side.
Can't you
Good
say?
grief.
It remained silent.
I want to go home.
Vinyl would be worried sick. The thought
Shut up.
made Octavia's muscles
Sorry.
bunch. She considered running at the door to shoulder it open, but her tail and back still hurt from being thrown onto the cot.
Won't you please let me out?
That still might be a
She
little
tried
off for
one
you
more
guys.
time. Whoever was guarding her
There we go.
refused to answer.
Okay.
Blueblood entered many hours later. He once again
Now
carried
what
a
do you want?
sandwich and a candle. He set them on the floor and gestured to the cello.
Play.
Octavia looked down at the sandwich.
Hello.
She picked up her cello. He scooted the sandwich closer to her, though not close
don't-
enough to touch. She played a few notes and then nearly dropped her bow, the whole room suddenly hazy as she became lightheaded.
Pathetic.
I'm too hungry. I need some damn food.
He crossed the short distance between them, pulled the cello from her grasp, and shoved her so hard that she fell back onto the cot. She scrambled to
Shadow
get up,
of
but the
Cygnus.
point
Yeah,
of the
I wouldn't have
cello
known who that
stand
was.
hovered
I know who
millimeters
he
from
is,
her
but
throat.
don't know him very well.
Playing badly is the same as not playing at all.
He replaced
Well,
the cello
there's many
against the
interpretations
wall,
of Blueblood.
picked up the sandwich and
Like
the
his
candle,
voice.
and left her in the
Like there's
darkness.
some who can do the official voice, me who does like
She
the
ran
douchey
to
voice.
the door and
The
slammed
douchey
herself
voice.
against it. splinters
More like a
scratched at her
douchey kind of
skin.
comedic voice
No!
is what I do.
Please don't!
This is more like just dark and
Ignoring
sinister.
her pleading, the armor picked her
Like
up and
controlling.
threw her back on
Like
the
a
cot.
controlling Blueblood.
Desperate and full of adrenaline, she ran for the door again. The armor grabbed her and held her down
boy.
on the cot.
Let me go!
She struggled against the pony's crushing
So
hold.
enchanted armor
Let me go! Let me go! Do you have any compassion?
is pretty much who's controlling her while
Please,
Blueblood's in
criminal.
absence. So
You
enchanted
can't
armor.
hold me. I'm an equestrian citizen!
She managed to get one foreleg free and shoved at the pony's face.
Huh?
The helmet came open. Octavia stared at the rear of the inside of the empty suit of armor.
Nothing.
There was no pony within it, only a faintly glowing corona of magic causing it
Yeah,
to move.
it's enchanted armor.
Wait, Celestia!
An empty suit of armor powered by magic could not be reasoned with. It could not be convinced to let her out.
Nope.
Octavia went boneless. After a long while, the empty armor let go of her. She did not leap to her hooves again. It returned to its corner, and she lay where it had put her, tears sliding down the sides of her head.
It's all in good fun. It's for Halloween. That's why. Personally, it's my favorite way of writing, so. Okay. But seriously, this does remind me a lot of
Blueblood
Split.
entered an indeterminate
Because it
amount of
does
time later.
seem like the same
He
deal.
placed
Bring
the
your
sandwich
food.
and candle on the floor. Play. Octavia picked up the cello and bow. Blueblood stared at her movements the entire time. He smiled as she played, then raised a hoof. She stopped on the clear instruction. He smiled even wider.
Oh, gosh.
This time, he left the sandwich and candle behind. She shoved the sandwich into her mouth. She licked the crumbs off the plate. She licked her hooves. She noticed the open door. It was just barely cracked open, but it was open.
Don't try it.
She began sweating nervously. She
Otherwise,
looked
you're
at the
going to be
armor in
very,
its
very
corner.
nastily punished.
She looked back at the door.
Considering what I
She
saw in
could
the
try
thumbnail,
to make a
oh
break
boy.
for it. She could run pretty fast. She continued to sit on her cot without moving. The armor stayed still. She looked at her cello and remembered Blueblood's smile and the grim nothingness in his eyes when he had put the cello spike to her neck. She looked back at the door. It was shut now. Her tears
Was that a
flowed
test?
like they would never stop.
Oh boy.
Blueblood came the next day.
Good girl.
He said without explanation. He had more candles, a sandwich, and a metal bowl filled with water. He placed them in front of her. Her stomach growled loudly.
Play.
She took up the cello and began the same tune as yesterday. Blueblood shook his head. She chose something more upbeat. Blueblood nodded.
Okay. So far it's just kind of the same thing over and over
He
again.
left the candles and the food and water.
But I have a feeling it's going to pick up
The
pretty quickly.
armor did
Like, she's
not
going to
move.
defy him or something like that, and he's going to strike her.
Octavia did not cry this time.
Okay. This just reminded me of a certain fic that I'm reading for her.
How long have I been here now?
Good question.
It was difficult to tell. If she had been a smarter pony, she might have tried making marks on the wall to count the days.
Ugh.
But she wasn't smart. She was stupid.
Ooh, real nice
She had
detail. I love
submitted.
this artwork.
She had stopped fighting.
The detail in the mane, holy crap. Like, I know it's just a brush trick, but man,
This is my
looks amazing.
punishment.
That would explain why Blueblood was her tormentor when every media article she had ever seen or read about him described him as an arrogant but foppish fool. Prince Blueblood
He's
was a
more than
harmless,
that.
spoiled, rich brat who had grown into a harmless, spoiled, rich stallion. That kind of pony did not kidnap random mares and hold them in stone cells just to make them play music for him.
Rich ponies go to the symphony. They don't stash musicians away like...
The door opened. Like always, Blueblood brought her food and water and
Love the
light.
detail in the eyes and all that stuff.
He didn't even need to vocalize
Looks really
his
good.
instructions
Whoever did this
anymore.
artwork,
All
props.
he had to do was tap his hoof, and she played for him until he smiled, tapped again to make her stop, and left.
Sorry about that.
She had no
If you
more
can't hear
tears.
that, I don't know if you
She
can.
just ate the sandwich in slow, steady bites and tried not to look at the ever-watchful armor in the corner.
So Blueblood was pretty smart here. He chose an earth pony, first of all, so can't counteract magic. Can't unlock doors. Can't do anything like that. So smart of Blueblood to actually choose a, you know, earth pony. Not saying earth ponies are weak,
The
it's
door
just
opened. She looked up for Blueblood,
logic.
but did not see him.
Got another one.
A guard in gleaming
boy.
golden armor yelled over his shoulder. He turned and spoke to her softly.
Are you alright, miss?
She pressed herself against the wall, rooted to her cot.
Don't come any closer. The armor! The armor! Watch out with the armor! It'll hurt you!
The guard looked at the armor. It stayed still. He lifted its visor.
I'm not sure what I'm
It
looking
didn't
for.
try to pin him
Or,
down
I'm not sure what
or
I'm looking
throw him
at.
by his tail or anything.
I'm not hating on earth
It
ponies.
acted
Not at all.
like
I'm just
a
saying
regular
logic
suit
here.
of armor.
Nothing in there.
They don't have magical
Get you out of
abilities. They don't have the ability to fly. They, yeah, it's just
Don't try to leave.
logic.
That's when it gets you.
So Blueblood was pretty smart.
The armor's going to get me. That's all it's here for. To watch me. To make sure I don't try to escape. If I try, it'll hurt me. No, please. It'll kill us.
The guard grabbed her and made for the door.
Oh boy.
She kept her eyes on the armor as they left the cell, unable to believe that it did not thunder towards
What
them
in
and
the
grab them both
world?
to hurl them against
This
the
is an
wall.
interesting art style.
They exited out across a cobbled courtyard that hurt Octavia's sensitive hooves. Sunlight stung her
I
eyes.
bet.
Dozens of guards littered the lawn of Blueblood's castle. One was writing in a thick book. The
Blueblood
rest
has his
were
own
helping
personal castle?
emaciated ponies
Okay,
out
then.
of the sumptuous building.
Didn't know that.
Ambulance carts waited along the road.
The armor. It doesn't move when you can see it. It'll come after me.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't move when you
Red
can't
Heart.
see it.
Got another one here for you.
What?
She was in the room of a hospital. She
Oh.
was not sure where. She had
Oh
not
no,
asked.
it's not that easy.
She
It's
had to
never
keep
that
her eyes
easy.
open. The armor would follow her. She knew it would.
That's a very nice cutie mark.
Red
The
Heart?
nurse who had helped her wash her straggly, greasy mane set a sandwich down on the bedside tray. She was conversational and sweet, talking all the time in a soft tone that invited trust and confidence. She was making small talk.
So after Lost one, I'm not going
All
to
the
try
nurses
and
tending
predict
the ponies from
anything. I
Blueblood's
mean, that
mansion
ending
were
to
making
Lost
small
one
talk.
was
What
completely
do you play?
unexpected.
Play.
Oh,
Octavia
you said the key
began
word.
pantomiming playing her cello, movements a blur as she instinctively sought to render that special smile from the pony in front of her. No. she
Yeah, I
was
bet he
free,
spiked the
she was
sandwich or
out.
something.
She didn't have to do this anymore. Yet she could not stop.
Then again,
Her
that's
body would
traumatizing
not let
to
her.
anybody, so,
The nurse
or in this case,
lunged
any
for her
pony.
flailing hooves, trying
So
to
I
make
feel
her
like,
stop.
yeah, he's driving her crazy.
Doctor, come quick!
To the point of insanity.
Play.
Good lord, how long was she in there?
Play.
Judging by the way she looks, it looks like she was in there for weeks. Possibly a month. But very much like Split. Really?
Okay, Kevin, USAA Bank is here to help you stay on track.
Fucking ads.
Good. Fair
Sorry, guys. This is nothing I can this is nothing I can help. It's something that just happens. YouTube. Oh boy. Hello, Bone Crusher.
Prince Blueblood walked through the gardens
Oh,
of Pants
God,
Manor. He did not care for the bright fauna.
Now flipping you
or
guys
even
bird, flipping
damn
that
the
asshole to
buzzards
bird.
really buzzed. He was here
with
for
Fancy
one
Pants.
reason: to watch his cousin make a fool of himself. Fancy Pants
Cousin?
led a small puppy on a leash.
Wait.
The animal slobbered and ran through his legs in figure eights. Fancy Pants fell
Fancy
down
Pants is
after
his
becoming
cousin?
entangled
What?
in the leash.
That's not how you handle the dog.
Blueblood
What would
commented
you
and
know?
untangled the leash.
You have to be in control of him constantly.
I've seen how you handle animals.
Oh.
Some might say it's borderline abusive.
Fancy Pants dusted off his black tailcoat.
Okay, yeah.
And those
Control
purges would be
freak.
wrong.
Oh my God, what is up with
Creatures beneath us.
what is up with that
Snorted and
fight
took the
this
leash from
Halloween?
Fancy.
You have to keep the leash
Ink
short
dye,
at
control
first.
freak.
He
Blueblood,
wrapped
control
a good
freak.
length of it around his hoof.
Keep your orders simple and your tone firm.
He looked down at the dog.
Woof.
The
Woof.
dog now panted beside Blueblood's right foreleg.
I'll never understand why he obeys you so quickly. You have a
We
way
don't
with
know
animals.
the
Fancy
official
Pants
age
complimented.
of Fancy Pants. Fancy
Blueblood
Pants.
kept the leash tight around his hoof.
Do you have any treats for him?
Fancy Pants gave Blueblood a small, crumbly bone.
Sit.
Blueblood commanded. He placed the treat on the dog's nose.
So he's pretty much a control freak. He can control
Quite impressive.
anything.
Now, if only we could keep him from piddling on the cart.
That's easy too.
Fuck.
Punish him as soon as it happens. He needs
Yeah,
to
that's
see
definitely
pain
Booty Serenade
that
as
you don't want from him. He'll soon learn to obey
Fancy
you.
Pants.
I think we'll just keep with the crate training.
I mean, his voice is
If you think that's
distinct as
best.
frick.
Blueblood handed the leash back to Fancy.
You know, it took me a minute with War on,
Can I expect to see you at tonight's symphony?
Always. Do
which
you
I'm still
have
going to
your
react
seats
to
in
that
the
series. I
founder's
just
box?
don't
Yes,
know
of
when it's
course.
likely going to come out in
Fancy
parts.
lifted his hooves to prevent them from being tangled in the
Not
leash.
pallets, I mean.
Grand Canterlot Orchestra has been quite good to me in that regard.
Blueblood pulled
Why'd
a
you have
pocket
to
watch
say
out of his
that?
vest.
Good. Good. I'd best be off, though. I have some things to take care of before then. I'm sorry for any inconvenience.
Quite all right. I'll see you tonight.
Okay.
Blueblood stared down at his pocket watch.
Late.
He muttered.
Fancy is never late. This is most inconsiderate.
He tapped his hooves on the gold railing that
Have you
surrounded
looked in
the
the mirror?
balcony. The orchestra was beginning to assemble, each musician tuning his or her instrument.
Okay, so he's been watching Octavia for a long
Blueblood
time. That's
turned to the mare a few
creepy as
seats to
shit.
his right.
Like,
She
that's
barely
very
ever
alarming.
spoke to him. It was
Kind of reminds me of the
very
song by the
irritating.
Police.
Did Fancy
Every
not
breath you
say
take.
if he had anything to take care of?
Fleur shook her head. Blueblood let out a harump.
It's
and
fine.
continued clicking
Super
his
chat
hooves
is
on the
enabled, but you
rails.
don't have to donate if you don't
My
want
most
to.
sincere apologies.
No, Fleur de Lis.
Fancy Pants entered through the archway and took his seat beside Fleur, exchanging the usual kiss cheek.
Oh
he
no
insisted
no
upon
no
in
no
some
no!
sort
Is
of
this where I think
ridiculous
this
French
is where it's
cultural
going where I think it's
throwback.
going?
My carriage was running late, and while I was alighting from it, I happened
Is Fleur de
to meet
Lis the next
somebody
on its
who wanted
list?
to be
Oh,
in the symphony
no.
as well.
I thought I could find a scalper.
Okay, there's vinyl.
A mare Blueblood did not
Uh-oh.
know sat down between himself and Fancy like she actually had any place there. Her
What?
electric blue mane was an eyesore, and she was wearing sunglasses indoors. Blueblood stared in dismayed horror at what his cousin had put amongst them.
I couldn't get a ticket in time. but I figured,
Commoners.
no biggie. There's always a scalper.
Commoners make me
Vinyl, Blueblood,
cringe.
Blueblood, vinyl.
There we go.
Vinyl, Fleur, Fleur, vinyl.
Fancy Pants introduced
I
them.
don't think Octavia is gonna be in the orchestra.
Blueblood's upper lip curled.
You seem used to a different kind of concert.
Yeah, I don't normally go to these kinds of things, but
I couldn't tell you
not
who's
barely
voicing.
showing. I promised her I'd show up, and Vinyl Scratch doesn't break promises.
I don't know who's voicing her. That sounds like
Blueblood
no
nodded,
looking.
looking down at the
But
soft gray mare
couldn't
Vinyl
tell
pointed
ya.
at. She sat demurely in her seat, awaiting the
Then again,
conductor's
that could
signal
be
to begin.
like
He narrowed
EVAs
his
I'm not very
eyes in
accustomed with,
thought.
like Party Blossom.
I actually think I've seen her
Could be.
before.
She plays all sorts of fancy gigs. You You've probably seen her at one of those. She was at the Great
Yes,
Elfin
indeed he
Gala.
has.
Ah, yes. Though I can't quite remember her name.
Blueblood flicked through the program.
Octavia Melody?
Yeah, she really likes this new gig.
Wait a
Vinyl
minute, are
took
we in the
off her
past?
revolting sunglasses.
That's my question.
We're thinking about getting
It could
a
be
new
in the
place with extra
past.
money.
Like,
Is there
could be
something
flashing
wrong
back
with
to
your
when
current
he first started watching
Blueblood
Octavia,
picked
which
a
is
stray
kind of
thread from his smoking
disturbing.
jacket.
It is way
Stalker
too close to
much?
the train station. It's big enough, but the noise makes us
Also, I apologize for the heater, but it needs to
I
run.
see. I
So,
have a
yeah, it's
friend
cold
who's
in
a
here.
realtor. If you'd like, I can give him your address, and he can add you to his mailing list. Fancy, do you have a pen?
Of course.
Fancy Pants pulled a fountain pen from his jacket and floated
Fancy
it to
pants,
Vinyl.
why?
Thanks.
Vinyl scribbled her address on the back of her program, passed it to Blueblood, and gave the pen back to Fancy.
Thanks, Fancy.
She
Okay.
said with entirely too much familiarity.
You're welcome, but quiet now, everyone.
I want to say
Fancy Pants
Vinyl is being
whispered,
voiced by Noah King here because it sounds just like her. Like, she's the voice of Vinyl, technically.
Throughout the performance,
Oh yeah, this is definitely in
Blueblood
the past
watched
because
the
Vinyl,
soft
or
gray
excuse
mare
me,
draw her
Octavia
bow
is
across the
actually
strings of her cello.
back to normal. So it's just like one of those stories where the events that led up to whatever happened take place after all the crap starts happening. Man, I don't know. Couldn't tell you where this is going.
Blueblood walked quietly across the marble floors of his chateau. He reached into a box in the hardwood wall. A light bell rang.
Couldn't tell you. He's a stalker slash domestic abuser.
A servant stepped out of a false wall and bowed
You know,
low.
technically,
Blueblood handed him the program with the childish scroll on
Octavia
it.
is not
Here,
a friend of his. It's not.
Be careful, she does not live alone.
I really need to shut up.
Everything that can be traced back to you.
The servant nodded, snapped his soft white cloth boots in place, and left. Blueblood reached into the small box and pulled another lever. Another servant stepped out of the false wall.
Make up the rations for tonight. No water tonight for 3B, no candle for it either.
The servant bowed and stepped back into the false wall.
Okay.
Blueblood walked down the stone steps to the wine cellar.
Okay. That's common.
At the bottom, he removed the rough stones from one far wall and stepped into an unlit tunnel.
So Blueblood's got
He
some
waited
skeletons in
until
his
the
closet.
servant arrived with a gurney covered in sandwiches, bowls of water, and candles.
Leave now, I'll do the rest.
He pulled a keyring out of his coat pocket and unlocked one of the many doors in the tunnel. He raised up a sandwich, a bowl of water, and a candle. He opened the door and stepped into the poorly lit room with a piano in the corner. An emaciated stallion stirred and looked up at him. Blueblood gestured to the piano, tapped his hoof, and the stallion rushed to it.
Okay. Confused.
He played for 30 minutes until Blueblood
Jesus
tapped his hoof
Christ,
again.
money.
He set
30
the provisions down on the
minutes?
stone floor and left. The stallion ate
Jeez.
greedily as Blueblood locked the door behind him.
Even I can't play guitar for that long. Jesus fucking Christ. Hey, Opium, how you doing?
He unlocked the door with 3B carved into it, not hopeful of what he would find within. He stepped into the room and looked
Ooh,
at the
really like
filthy
this art
pink
style.
mare asleep in the corner.
Fleur-de-lis.
Blueblood stomped his hoof, causing her to stir. She looked up at him rebelliously, refusing to stand.
Play.
Just reacting to a
Vocalized
very
what he
screwed up
wanted from
fic
this one,
so far.
Also gesturing to the
Where
violin
Blueblood gets
beside
to
her.
control
She answered weakly.
mares. Apparently.
Blueblood smacked her across the face,
Wait a minute,
adding
who's
to the
the-
many bruises already there.
I should have just shut up.
Play.
She glared up at him and slammed her hoof down on the violin, breaking its neck.
No.
Violin.
Blueblood sighed. He pulled a length of cord
Okay,
from
who
his
is
jacket
this?
and approached her.
Is it Fleur-de-lis?
She backed into
I
the
call it.
corner, green eyes wide. Apparently, she had not gotten the message that disobedience brought punishment.
Oh boy.
No,
can't do that.
You
He
want to
looped
bet?
the cord around her neck and pulled in opposite directions.
Wait a minute.
She sputtered beneath him and
Oh, hey,
coughed
Rebond.
in his face. He pulled
The part where
tighter
you're
and watched her
talking.
eyes slide back, the lids blinking randomly.
Who is this?
She kicked
Good
underneath
question.
him, movements growing
Just a random
weaker
OC, I guess?
until she stopped moving completely. He held on for a while longer before dropping the useless carcass to the floor.
Fucking hell, you.
He pocketed his cord and walked out of the room, not bothering to lock it.
Oh boy.
He stepped into another room. A griffin
This
stood
is
in the
so
corner and looked up at
split.
him. He grabbed his bassoon off the
Like
wall
stuff
and
Blueblood
played
being
a long
put in like a
tune.
therapy session kind of thing. I don't know.
Blueblood smiled and set a sandwich on his
Jesus
beak.
Christ.
Take.
The griffin snapped it up immediately.
A griffin.
He raised his bassoon again.
No.
Blueblood stated and walked out the door.
Can you
His
speak in
servant
something
was
rather
waiting
than
for
single
him with
words?
a large sack
Jesus
thrown over his
frick.
back.
Very quick. I'm pleased with you.
I know
Were
we
you
did.
spotted?
The servant shook his head.
Well, my voice is already
Good.
cracking. Lovely.
Place her in 3B. Please dispose of the garbage in there while you're at it.
Ooh, you're such an asshole.
It's so good of you to have us all tea, Blueblood.
Fancy Pants said cheerily.
Fleur and I greatly appreciate it.
I think nothing of it. As often as you invite me to the symphony, it would not reflect well on me to be inhospitable.
Man, I'm trying to
Blueblood
just.
smiled. Fleur whispered into Fancy's ear.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but Fleur would like to know where the water closet is. I'm not entirely sure where it is. I apologize.
Water.
Quite all right.
What?
Though she could ask me herself.
Blueblood rang a
Oh,
bell.
I think I get what
The
the
silent
title's
servant
referencing to
appeared.
now because
Mr. Hoof,
Blue
would you
Blood
please
with the
show
dog
Fleur to
thing,
the restroom?
pets.
The servant, Mr. Hoof,
Makes
nodded,
sense.
and Fleur followed him out.
I love how Rebond just came in at the point
Fancy
where,
Pants
oh, I
sipped
die
his
here.
tea.
Speaking of the symphony, will you be joining us
Oh,
tonight?
bathroom. I thought I
It
heard
has been
water.
a few
Like,
months since you last graced
I don't
her
know.
with
Maybe
your
that's just a
presence.
fancy thing.
Well, I suppose I should let the lesser
This is why I
folk
need to shut
admire
up.
me. But it will have to be some other time. I'm scheduled to be groomed tonight. I'm overdue for a hoofacure.
Blueblood laughed.
Hoofaker.
I understand.
Oh,
Fancy
these
Pants
horse
laughed
puns.
as well.
We can't have our prince looking like he just came off the street.
Sure we
Quite
can.
right. I don't care what
That's what he
anyone
deserves.
says. I am judged harder for my
Fucking
appearance than
hell.
anyone else in this city.
Water closet is a
What
fancy
about
word
the
for
princesses?
bathroom. Well, I learned something
They're in
new.
the public eye more than anyone else.
Yes, but their manes seem to be made of magic.
Blueblood debated.
I have an
then
amino,
spoke with
but
a
it's on
higher
a-
pitch.
It's not an
Oh,
equestrian.
I'll just brush my mane. Wait, it's already done. Yay, magic.
The hell?
Fancy Pants accidentally choked on his tea, emitting a combination of a chuckle and cough.
That is most inappropriate.
Yes, but I can't make you laugh otherwise.
Fleur trotted back into the room
Okay.
and whispered into Fancy's ear.
Oh, I'm sorry, but Fleur is not feeling well. I'm afraid we'll have to cut this social gathering short. Again, my apologies.
All is forgiven.
Blueblood replied mildly.
Until next time.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is really testing my anger. Oh boy.
Blueblood rang the bell, but no pony came.
I wouldn't
He looked
consider
around
this
and
the
threw bell
hostel
into the
of
unopened
MLP
secret
because
passage in the wall.
hostel
A passing
is
servant
more
picked it off the ground
just
and trotted
straight
to
up horrid
Blueblood's
torture.
side.
Where is Mr. Hoof?
The servant shook her head.
Then find him.
They
All right,
found
Emil,
him
you take care.
quickly. Mr. Hoof lay in the wine cellar next to the open tunnel. A smashed bottle lay in a puddle of spreading wine and blood beside him.
Oh.
This is not good.
Oh, hang
Blueblood
on.
snarled and looked to the 12 servants who had gathered at his shouts.
Dispose of the evidence quickly.
The servants looked to each other.
Now.
They
Blood.
scattered.
Wine.
Too late.
Ooh.
The door into the wine cellar burst open. 6 guards in gleaming gold armor rushed into the cellar. Blueblood looked at the spear pointed right in his face.
Can I help you?
His voice
Oh,
remained
dear.
mild,
Is he
as
caught?
if this was no matter worth bothering about.
You can place your hooves behind your head and your muzzle to the ground.
The guard suggested.
Or you could resist and make this fun for everyone involved.
Blueblood chose the first option.
Okay, then. I'm trying to think of how the timeline is working here. Because it has to be back in the past. Because, what's her face?
How many, sir?
Fancy Pants asked, watching as a babbling gray
Octavia
mare
was all
loaded
better.
into an
She was
ambulance.
fine.
He recognized
So I have a
her
feeling
from
the past is
symphony.
leading up to the present.
Now her sudden absence from the orchestra made more sense. His heart clenched.
23. And there's no telling how many he disposed of.
Will the
Fuck.
Chateau staff surrender any information?
23. Fudge.
They can't. They're all mute.
The guard's laugh was mirthless.
Probably because they're
Blueblood was actually
probably
given a plaque
traumatized.
for hiring disabled ponies.
Can they write?
Only some. And just
Can they
barely.
write?
We found one that can write basic stuff, but I can't tell you what he told us.
Fancy Pants slid a jingling bag to the guard.
Our young prince has kidnapped at least 40 creatures over these years. They're all
Ooh.
talented musicians, professionals for the most part.
Okay,
They're
professional.
from all over Equestria and beyond. One of those recovered today was a griffin, actually an up-and-coming bassoonist who went missing, apparently after a lover's tiff with his partner 3 years ago. We can't interview any of them until the departmental shrink checks them out. Near as we can tell, it looks like it started about 10 years back, but most of those cases were dismissed as robbery. He would have a servant kidnap a pony, make it look like they stole from those they lived with, and disappeared.
And what will happen to Blueblood now?
Fancy Pants slid another bag to the guard.
Hopefully a death
The
sentence.
same thing that happens to any criminal.
The guard slid the bag back to Fancy.
Trial and imprisonment.
Okay, then. Wait a minute. Was that Octavia? I won't say that was Octavia. Because she got out with the guard.
It's in my apartment. Why is it in my apartment? Did it follow me? Why can no pony else see it?
And more importantly, why did he choose musicians?
Before. It's hurt me
Professional
before.
musicians.
Does it want to have me now? I can't tell. It just sits there in the corner watching me.
Okay, Octavia is basically traumatized.
That's what he does. He
Like
keeps
PTSD stuff going
I
on.
can't break eye contact with it. I have to
An
watch
itch.
it constantly. It moves when you can't see it.
It moves when you can't see it.
But in the day, it watches.
So this is just part of, like, the PTSD coming in.
Davy,
Vinyl entered the living room.
Oh,
What's wrong?
no.
what are you looking at?
Because he hates
Octavia
music.
refused to break eye contact with the empty corner.
I don't know if that's a...
But only when you
Wow, it's been a while. If that was a thing in
When what
the season 1 finale, it's been a while.
Tavy, look at me.
Like, it's been a long while since I saw that one.
Vinyl embraced her.
It's only me and you in here. No pony else. That corner is empty. There's nothing
Her eyes are red.
there.
Just
Octavia
saying.
looked back at the corner.
It's not there.
Right.
Vinyl
PTSD.
smiled.
You're safe now. You're home.
It must have moved.
Octavia screamed.
It moves. It moves. It's enchanted. Enchanted to keep me inside the cell.
Tavy, calm down. Please.
Yeah, PTSD.
What are you doing?
Post-traumatic. Yeah.
Octavia looked around.
Jesus Christ.
No, you're not. You're home. With me.
No, the vampire fic is vampilence and it's
Did
not
you take
done
your
yet.
medicine today?
I don't know when it's gonna be finished, honestly.
No, I can't take the medicine. If I take the medicine, then I can't see it. And that means it could be anywhere. He magicked it to watch me. I'm his
PTSD.
property, and he protects his property. But he does something stupid like try to escape. And he hurts it. He hurts.
It's not real. Please, Tavy,
idea who's voicing Vinyl here.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay, love. Come on. Sit down and I'll fetch your meds.
She led Octavia over to the love seat and guided her into a seated position.
Also,
I'm
Shep.
going to get you some water so you can take your pills. Do you know where you left your medicine?
No, I don't remember.
Octavia leaned back. Vinyl backed into the kitchen and rummaged through the cabinets. She finally found an orange translucent
Yeah, I'm completely
bottle
and
and
utterly
shook out
lost
2
right now.
pills.
Kinda, sorta.
She filled a chipped mug with water.
Because Blueblood was caught.
A crash echoed and the shattering
Uh-oh.
of glass resounded throughout the apartment.
Tavy!
She flung the mug into the sink and galloped into the living room. Octavia struggled on the floor, her back on their shattered glass
my
coffee
God.
table as if she had been thrown on top of it, or launched herself from a standing position on the love seat.
It's here! It's here! It's here! It's here! It's here! It's here!
Oh my god.
It's here! It's here! It's come for me! It came for me! The armor came, please! Put me back! 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 It's here! It's here! It's here!
Wow. That's messed up.
Okay, Kevin, USA Bank is here to help you stay on track.
Why?
Closest looking good. Fit for a fill-up?
Considering she had like a slash on her wrist, I mean, that's the way it can't kill you, is that way. This way it kills you. What taught me that? AHS. Wow.
Vinyl waited in the hospital,
Oh.
seated on a double-stuffed
Oh, now her
wingback
eyes are
chair
purple.
in a tiny waiting room.
Or, like,
She
magenta.
pulled loose threads from a tear in the cushion and frowned to herself.
Excuse me?
Fancy Pants entered.
I just got the news from a colleague of mine. Is Miss Octavia all right?
Oh, wait a
She'll be
minute.
okay.
Vinyl muttered.
She kept
I wonder if Fancy Pants might be
grabbing at the
behind
broken
this.
glass.
Like,
You were
maybe
able to take
he's
care of it
part
with some
of,
Dermalon.
like, the reasoning.
You know, the super glue-like stuff. The doctors are talking to her to make sure it wasn't a domestic dispute.
That's K-Bug. That's K-Bug.
Like I would ever
I
hurt
think.
Tavy.
She looked
'Cause I think I
away,
can hear
frown
Kate Bugg's
deepening
voice in
into
it.
a scowl.
May I ask what happened?
Fancy sat down in a stool across from her. His refined self looked ridiculous.
I believe
in
that's
the ratty
K-Bug
waiting
voicing
room
Vinyl.
decor.
You can hear it.
No.
Vinyl sobbed, squeezing
Is
her
he
eyes
fizzy?
shut.
Sorry, I'm just
Don't know her very
emotional
well.
right now.
Fancy Pants.
Understandable. You've been
But
through a lot.
you don't understand.
Are
In
you
Grimdarks, anybody can be the bad guy.
Vinyl slumped in her chair.
This is just all my fault. If I had just bought a ticket, then I wouldn't have sat beside Blueblood. I wouldn't have drawn his attention to her.
You mustn't blame yourself for this. The fault is Blueblood's, and I'm doing my best.
Okay,
to
so we're
ensure
caught up to the
that
present,
rest of
pretty
his
much.
life will be in prison.
Is that why you're here? Is this about the trial?
I do want to speak to Miss Octavia on the matter, but not here. This would be a most inappropriate place for it.
We'll have to meet sometime then.
Vinyl tore a page from a magazine.
But not at my apartment.
I've listened to Butterflies,
I don't
and
give out our address
yeah.
anymore.
That's understandable.
You want to see what happened there?
Fancy
Go watch
pulled
my
a fountain
reaction
pen
to
from
it.
his breast pocket.
What would you say to that quaint cafe on Cherry Street?
We can't afford to eat out right now.
Nope.
Octavia's medicine costs a lot. Now I have this ER bill to pay, and the rent's due
Yes,
in a
I've listened
week.
to that song.
Vinyl pressed her face into her
Blood on my bow.
bows.
Yeah, I've
I
heard
kinda
it.
haven't worked since Tavy came home.
I don't understand
I
it
didn't wanna
mostly
leave her
because I've
alone,
never
but
listened to a puppet
I
to her
need to
fame.
work because I'm the... What's the word? Breadwinner? Yeah, that's it. I'm the breadwinner of our household now, so I...
How much?
Fancy pulled out a checkbook.
Huh?
Vinyl looked at him, confused.
How much is your rent?
Oh,
She
boy.
frowned.
Wow, that's
Can't
a
let you
very
do that,
kind
Fancy.
gesture.
I don't know when we could pay you back.
It's not a loan. I give gifts, not loans. Now, how much is your rent?
900 bits.
Jesus
confided.
Christ.
All right.
Fancy scribbled on the check and tore it out of the book.
Whoa,
We
900
have some
bits.
litigation in the
Wow.
works. The idea is to auction off
That's
all of
pretty
Blueblood's
ridiculous.
assets and have the proceeds go to the families of those who had suffered because of him. This should be enough to last you until the litigation is finalized.
Thank you.
Vinyl accepted
Yeah, that's
the
a
check,
pretty-
eyes rounding
that's a
so
pretty kind
much
gesture.
She wished she still had her shades on to hide her surprise.
This is more than 900.
I know.
Vinyl looked up at him.
So,
You're telling
Where
her
did
to
you wanna meet
basically get
again?
out of town. To leave the place where this all happened. Yeah. That's basically what's going on. Get out of the place where this occurred,
A
basically.
day latte was as fine as a cafe could
Leave
be
these
without becoming
memories
gaudy.
behind.
It was perhaps the first upmarket cafe in which Octavia and Vinyl both felt comfortable.
Okay, I'm
Fancy
pretty
Pants
confused
smiled.
right now.
Being able to pick a locale
I'm just
that didn't
waiting
offend
for
any
this
guest's
dark twist to come into
sensibilities
play.
was the mark of a good host.
How are you, Miss Octavia?
Fancy Pants slid into his chair.
boy.
Showing up late was not normal for him, but in this case he understood that allowing his guests time to talk alone was important. It was another mark of a good host.
I'm fine.
Octavia rubbed her
Oh wow,
bandaged
look at
forelegs.
Vinyl. Red eyes again.
I'll switch my medicines around. It seems to be helping somewhat.
Wonderful.
Fancy Pants waved
Okay, so
Fleur
Fancy
over.
Pants
It would
apparently...
not have
No,
been
I'm not going to say
appropriate for him
anything.
to meet two young mares by himself. He wouldn't allow rumors to spread about
I'm
his
not
guests.
saying anything yet.
Another mark of a thoughtful host.
And you,
I've
Miss
been
Scratch?
wrong before.
I'm doing okay.
Vinyl's posture slid
pretty
her ever so
sleepless.
slightly closer towards Octavia. Fleur stepped over to Octavia and hugged her, kissing both sides of her face.
Yep.
She then embraced Vinyl, kissing both sides of her face. Vinyl blushed.
Oh, you're real pretty, Miss Dillis, but I'm taken.
That's just how Fleur greets ponies, I assure you.
Oh, Fleur de Lis.
Oh,
Okay.
Octavia
get
kissed both of Fleur's cheeks in return.
And that's
Vinyl frowned.
also a kind
Sorry,
gesture
but
and like
no.
royalty.
the only pony
Kissing
I kissed
the
is
sides
Taty.
of the face.
Octavia's
That's
eyes
what
rounded.
that means. Rarity's done it
Sorry.
before.
She pressed her hooves to the sides of her head,
I can't
posture
recall the
suffused with
episode
sudden
at the moment.
panic.
Stupid.
No, it's okay, love.
Vinyl prized the hooves away and held them gently in her own.
You're not stupid.
But
Tavy, remember what I said? You're allowed to do what you want. No pony will punish you for making your own decisions. And definitely not me. Okay?
Okay.
Please, have a seat, my dear.
Fancy Pants gestured
Sorry.
Fleur to a stool beside him.
Now, Miss Octavia, I wanted to make a request.
I'll do it.
Octavia interrupted.
Okay.
You wish for me to speak at the trial, correct?
Oh, well, yes. But only if you're comfortable with it.
I'll never be comfortable with that monster, but I understand that none of the other musicians wish to speak either. A conviction would be much easier if at least one of us speaks.
That's quite noble of you. Miss Scratch, will you be willing to speak as well?
Vinyl nodded.
Very well.
Fancy drew himself
Yeah, because
up.
technically
He
she
had
is a
not
professional,
expected that part of the
musician.
conversation to happen so
Kinda,
soon
sorta.
or swiftly.
I don't recommend any sandwiches from here, but the pastries are quite nice.
Considering how many times I've been in a hospital, that is a true fact. Sandwiches from hospitals are not, they're kind of bleh.
Vinyl took the witness stand. Blueblood glared at her from his table in the courtroom. She returned his glare tenfold.
Okay.
State your name and
Definitely seen
occupation,
this artwork
please.
before. I don't
The
know who did it,
prosecutor
but
requested.
again.
Vinyl Scratch, I'm a freelancing DJ.
How do you know the defendant?
I didn't know him until 3 months ago. I wanted to
Someone
attend the
say that was more
symphony to watch
professional than-
Octavia play, but I couldn't
yeah.
get a ticket in time. Fancy Pants and I met outside at the concert hall. He offered to let me sit in the founder's box after he heard I wouldn't get to see my mare friend play otherwise.
Please, continue.
Oh,
I met
he's such a
Blueblood
douche.
there. He seemed okay at the time. I pointed out Octavia to him and told him how happy she was to be playing for the Candlelight Symphony. I mentioned in conversation that we were looking for a new apartment. He told me that he knew a realtor and asked for our address. I gave it to him.
Oh
She didn't
no.
manage to hold back her wince.
So Vinyl basically
told him
blamed herself
where we
that this
lived.
happened. I get
What
it now.
happened when
I
you
get
got
it.
home that night?
That is
Octavia
tragic.
got home just a little after I did.
But it's not her
I
fault
wanted to go
because
to a
she
bar.
didn't know.
I wanted to support her when she was performing, but I
Jesus
found the
Christ.
symphony dull and wanted to let off some steam. She said she was tired and going to bed. I went out, she stayed in. When I got home, our apartment was trashed and Octavia wasn't there.
He had taken Octavia so easily because she wasn't there to stop him.
Yep, and
Even
she
though
blames
it was
herself.
irrational, even though there was no way she could have known how that night would end, she would never forgive herself for that. The questions seemed to go on and on for both the prosecution and the defense, but eventually the judge spoke.
Section, Miss Scratch, you may now step down from the witness stand.
Octavia was on the stand
I think that's
next.
Goody as well.
I can do this. I can.
Blueblood smiled at her. She refused to
Oh.
look at him. Vinyl was doing
That's one of the
enough
worst
glaring
things that
for
can
both
happen
of
in a
them.
court of laws.
Octavia.
The one that
She stated her
violated
name
you
as requested.
basically
Can
looks you
tell
in
us
the
about
eye,
event
basically.
that occurred 3 months ago?
Yeah.
Yes. I was playing at this.
Blueblood tapped his hoof on the desk. Octavia
I
fell
don't know if it's
immediately silent.
technically sexual abuse because he never
Please,
raped her.
continue.
Well, at
The
least
prosecutor urged.
not in the fic.
She cleared her throat.
He only committed
I was playing at the symphony.
assault.
It was my
That's
first
what
real
it was
job in quite a
basically.
while, and
Assault.
I was
I don't know. I don't know if it's
ecstatic about
battery.
it.
I need
But
to shut
I
up.
was quite tired when I got home.
Okay.
Vinyl tried to get me to go out with her for the night, but again, I was quite tired. Shortly after she left for the bar,
Blueblood tapped his hoof on the desk
Shut-
again. Octavia's mouth
A
snapped
court
shut.
of law has
She
every
felt her
right to
forelegs
stop that.
twitching against her will as they tried to drag
That's an act of
imaginary
defiance in
bow
a court of
across
law.
imaginary cello
But then again,
strings.
equestrian law is different than our
Objection, Your
law.
Honor. The defendant is badgering the witness.
Yeah, there you go.
Blueblood,
Thank
if
you.
you do not cease your ill-advised actions, I will be forced
I
to...
can't do this.
Octavia scrambled out of the witness stand and galloped through the courtroom for the exit.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I can't.
fuck you.
Octavia, wait!
Vinyl called after her, but Octavia did not listen. Blueblood smiled.
Give her like a blindfold or something that can help to keep her eye off of him. Yeah. He's doing all he can to not be trialed with what is going on. Even though
Vinyl
it's not
knocked
going
on
to
the
work.
door to her room.
He's also trying to
Silence.
antagonize, Octavia into basically going insane
Still
again.
silence.
Like traumatizing her for life, even though he probably already has.
Don't throw anything, okay? I'm not...
Not the armor, not him. Octavia wasn't sure what Vinyl had been about to say. None of the options that presented themselves were palatable ones. Vinyl opened the door and saw Octavia sitting on her bed, rolling a candle around in her hooves.
Oh, God.
Hey,
Vinyl sat down
Interesting
beside her.
art style.
Sorry about today.
it's fine.
No, it's not.
Octavia
Okay, in the
said
pictures I see
fiercely.
Celestia,
Not fine.
they're
It was
cutie
the
marks,
first time you've seen him since... it
and I
happened.
have no idea what the other one is.
That I could handle it.
She clenched the candle tightly.
All he had to do was tap on that table, Vinyl. Just tap on the bloody table.
Over time, it will get better, Octavia.
Couldn't resist.
It's
He held you
traumatizing.
for 4 months, Tavy. He messed with your head. Taking the witness stand like that with him in the same room was always a gamble.
Yep.
I thought I was getting better.
Octavia
It's a
sounded
traumatizing
like she
thing
was
that
ready
leaves a
to
mark
cry.
on you, so
But all he had to do
it happens.
was tap on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly none of the therapy sessions, none of the pills, none of it mattered. I was
Some
back there
scars don't
in that
heal.
room.
Vinyl bit her lip.
You've never really told me what happened when after he kidnapped you. I mean,
Oh no.
told
Oh
me
no
about
no
the
no no no
armor,
no no no
but
no.
you were always a bit,
Is it what I think it is?
When I talked about it.
Octavia
Is
said
it sexual
flatly.
abuse?
damaged.
Rape?
A lot of what you said didn't
Basically.
make sense. I didn't know what was real and what was delusional. I never pushed because I figured you'd talk to me about it when you were ready. As long as you talk to the doctors about it, that seemed more important.
Okay.
Do you
She paused.
want to talk to me about it now?
I am terrified. I know that this isn't real now, but it's still in the corner. It can clank away all at once, but that doesn't make it any more real. I refuse to be scared of it now, because I saw a real monster today. I don't think that something hallucinatory can ever terrify me again, but that monster, the demon with the fancy lapels, he is terrifying. But
Mom, not a good time.
to have her. She's
Mom, not a good time at all.
I don't know what I'd do without
Sorry
her.
about that.
No pony's coming to save me. No pony wants me, otherwise they would have found me by now. No pony wants me except him. He owns me.
Tavy,
Vinyl put a hoof on Octavia's own.
it's okay if you don't want to talk about it. I'll still be here when you're ready. I'm not going anywhere.
Vinyl had never gone anywhere. While others of Blueblood's victims had gone home to find their families and friends had thought ill of them for stealing from them before running away, Vinyl had never believed that of Octavia. She had searched for her. She had never given up hope that Octavia would come back to her. She had even, in a last desperate attempt, gone to see a rich, connected stallion she had met only once to ask him to help her look for the love of her life, who had gone missing the night they met to watch her play. Vinyl loved her. She could trust Vinyl.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Octavia set down the broken candle, its two sides dangling on either
Hey,
end
Dealer.
of a long wick.
But I think I need to.
Yep.
Vinyl did not
You
smile,
have to come forth
but she
with your-
sat and listened
you have to come
without
forth
judgment
with
as
that fear.
Octavia began to talk.
The fear that traumatized you, basically. Even though I have a feeling what it is, and I hope it really isn't what I think it is. Okay. 0390.
Sat at the
I wonder if that
rough
might
table
be
in the
a.
prison cafeteria. He was surrounded by
Oh,
a
please
wide
tell me he
variety
gets
of
what he
unpleasant
deserves.
types, most of them considerably bigger than him.
Well, there's a
They
griffin.
smelled bad too. Body odor was rank in the air.
See if I can.
Last
Let's see if there's any
hoof
OCs
seemed a
in like
lifetime
in
ago.
this picture.
A large earth pony
Oh,
placed
boy.
an untrimmed, unwashed hoof on the back of Blueblood's mane, stroking it roughly.
You're in my spot.
Blueblood looked up at the towering stallion in the orange jumpsuit.
You're a pretty boy, ain't you?
Oh
Leered
god.
over Blueblood, clearly asking a question of a rhetorical variety.
Oh damn.
Blueblood was not intended to have any say in the matter.
Wanna spend a night with me?
That's what. That's technically what prison is really like. It is.
He jumped on the
It's a
large pony's
caballero,
back
and I have no
tore out
idea.
a section of the prisoner's mane, looping it around his neck.
Well, all Blueblood's gonna do right there is basically get his sentence even more big.
Blueblood ordered and pulled tight.
Big. Okay. That was a messed up ending. So he's still a jackass. Is he fizzy? Goody Serenade, of course. Reverb. Oh. Wow. There's no voices, Rebun Chan, that one, visual pony narrator. Are created by I Believe in Shadows, that's really good. Muse Note. Tokyo, Cinewave, Sinewave, whatever. Isolda Rose, really good. Desi Draws, Daring, yeah. Midnight Aurora. Ebony Inkstone, know who that is. Kenzie VA. Oh, I know who that is. Sweet Melody. Liam Monroe. I apologize if I'm butchering these names. The Crystal Ring. Yeah, definitely know who that is. Shiloh something. Party Blossom. That's a current VA. Cloud Nut. Wow. Nessie. Magnetic Hollow. And Stardust Lily. Oh, never mind. Charlotte something. Yep, and Urban Quoll. I don't know how to say that. Happy Nightmare Night. Even though it's over the holiday, you too, Scribbler. Wow, that art right there. That's actually very intimidating. Alright. I'd be a patron if I could, but I don't have the funds at all. I can barely get... My family barely gets by every freaking month. Alright. So Blueblood basically is still a jackass, and all he's doing in prison is basically making his sentence last longer. Possibly to a death sentence, hopefully. Okay. So, okay. That was Blueblood's pets. That was definitely not what I expected to be. I mean, part of it was what I expected it to be, but nowhere in the neighborhood of, you know, what I was expecting. Like, I expected the, like, imprisonment to last longer, not for it to be so, you know, mild, but nonetheless, it was still very messed up. I mean, basically, Blueblood was pulling a like a split kind of deal. He was putting mainly musicians in, professional musicians in like prison cells that were hidden in the castle, and basically if they didn't play, he wouldn't feed them, and if they also didn't play, he would beat them, or if they would if they would resist him, he would, basically say, okay, then I'm going to, hit you. But I think I caught what Octavia was saying at the end. Basically, one, she doesn't want to talk about it because it's traumatizing. And the fact that he just has to do that kind of thing on a desk to basically get under Octavia's skin, something happened that night that basically traumatized her. I know what it was. I hate that. Oh, that just makes my blood boil. He pretty much raped her. That's exactly what he did. He raped her and then put her in the prison cell. Well, technically it's not a prison cell. It's more of a... It's just more of a, prison. Not a prison cell, but, it's your own personal hell. But this was really, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like spoopy by any means. It was basically just messed up. I don't know if this is actually grimdark, because it is grimdark, in my opinion. Because here's the thing. It's kind of the same thing with Bittersweet Apple Acres. Bittersweet Apple Acres ends as follows. Crimson Flash, the main victim of Applejack, or Bittersweet Applejack as I call her, sure, he pretty much gets away. He manages to get away, kill Applejack, but from all the torture he endured, pretty much, just like Octavia did, it scarred him for life. I mean, he's got, in the story, he gets branded on both of his flanks, therefore that mark is still there his entire life. And it traumatizes him. Like, every time he looks in the mirror, he's got these scars on his face, he's got the imprint, like the actual brand on his flank. So it's still there, and it strikes back every single time. That is pretty much exactly what happened here. But Blueblood basically raped her. That's what he did. He raped her the night that he kidnapped her because she wouldn't comply. So he raped her, basically traumatized her, and that's why he gets under her skin so much. It can't be said because that would be kind of a little over the top, don't you think? But but pretty much that is what it's implying at the end. It's implying he raped her. That's why she won't talk about it. It's something that she doesn't want to talk about because it's traumatizing. Never have I been molested or anything like that, thank God. I am happy that I've never had to go through anything like that, but anybody who ever goes through that is traumatized. It causes PTSD, it causes problems. Therefore, that's what makes it grimdark. The fact that whatever occurred, pretty much, it's there for the rest of your life. It traumatizes you, turns you into a whole different person. You used to be this person that would function normal, like a regular human being, but now you can't sleep because they're in your dreams. The simplest sound can cause PTSD. That's messed up. But very well done by all the artists and the voice actors to do it. Even though Blueblood was just kind of simplistic, he wasn't, very, he wasn't necessarily too definitive with the voice acting. He was more just like simple, like play, eat, that. It's pretty much those kind of things. And in the end, we learned that he didn't change at all. He basically is still the gigantic asshole that loves to use control as the mechanism of, basically getting what he wants. He did it to the prisoner, and hopefully all that does is just gives him a life sentence. It's murder, technically, so murder normally lands you in a life sentence. Even if he is Celestia's nephew, it doesn't matter. If you perform something like murder, oh boy, it's pretty much a death sentence. So yeah, that is why this is grimdark. It's basically the marks are left there too. Basically, they're there for the rest of the victim's life. It's very much like Bittersweet Apple Acres, weirdly. Even though in mine, pretty much, yeah, I wrote a edited version and a non-edited version. The one that I did a reading of, non-edited. That scene. Whew. Even I thought I went a little too far with it. But it kind of leaves that imprint on both the viewer and the story character. He was raped, he was pretty much, he was raped, he was tortured relentlessly. He was basically on the verge of death and was going to be put through much worse. Constantly raped to impregnate Applejack, to basically have foals that would be killed and used as a way to add more blood to the applesauce, which was the secret ingredient. That was the grimdark element of Bittersweet Apple Acres. Same thing here. Basically, the raping, that's what got to Octavia, got under her skin. That is what hit like crazy. And he doesn't look at these musicians as ponies, he looks at them as trash, as he specified. And that was the line that got me upset. Ooh, that's what got my anger rising. Like, I immediately knew he raped her after Octavia had said she couldn't talk about it. And a simple tap on a desk, yeah, that leaves an imprint. Something big leaves that imprint. PTSD, yeah, he basically broke Octavia, but she's getting better, but it will always be there for the rest of her life. So yeah, this was a very good one for Halloween, and very well done to everyone. So, I guess that's all for now, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed this as someone who, delves into this stuff and is a huge fan of it. I don't condone rape or anything like that. I'm just a fan of horror. And this kind of horror is kind of the horror that I like. It's psychological. Plays with the mind, plays with your emotions. It's very, it's very, very douchey. It's just very, very strong on the emotions. So anyways, I think I'm out for now. And thank you guys for joining in. And yeah, to Scribbler and everybody else who worked on this, great job. Very well done. And especially to the TheTobacconist, I think that's how you say that. And Scribbler, apparently, because she, well, technically how Scribbler puts things is pretty much, what was that air noise? Oh, that's my heater. But Scribbler, I don't know if she like partly wrote this or if she's saying that because she narrated it. well, technically she didn't narrate it. It was that was Thornquill. I don't know. But anyways, I'm done here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and until the next stream, happy horrors. Until next time, I don't know what the hell is coming out this month. I don't know if there's anything coming out this month. Honestly, I have no idea what's happening this month or for the coming months. I may have something, I may not have something. So anyways, guys, I'm done. Thank you for joining, and until next time, take care and happy horrors.